Chapter 3 of Match, like we said, just ends with her talking about how Saturday is going to be busy, and then she'll get her free rec hours and she'll get to see Xander. I've always wondered what my dreams look like on paper, in numbers. Someone out there knows, but it isn't me. I pulled the sleep tags from my skin, taking care not to tug too hard on the one behind my ear. The skin is fragile there, and it always hurts to peel the disc away, especially if a strand or two of hair gets caught under the adhesive on the tag. Glad that my turn is over, I put the equipment back in its box. It's Bram's turn to be tagged tonight. I did not dream of Xander. I don't know why. So what was just revealed in that first paragraph?
Sleeping tags.
Sleeping tags.
So you have to, like,
What's
wear them when
happening?
you sleep?
Mm-hmm.
Why?
So they monitor their dreams.
That's so
stupid.
weird.
Creepy.
Do you think we could actually do that?
I don't know. I know you can monitor like brainwaves, but I don't know if they actually get more in depth. But I did sleep late, and I'm going to be late for work if I don't hurry. As I walk into the kitchen carrying my dress from the night before, I see that my mother has already set out the breakfast food delivery. Oatmeal, gray brown, and expected. We eat for health and performance, not for taste.
That sucks.
Okay.
Yeah. So they don't get to choose their food, it gets delivered, and they eat for performance,
What
not
if
for
it's, like,
taste.
rotten food?
Well, they eat for health and performance, so it probably wouldn't be rotten,
Performance.
but it probably wouldn't be super flavorful either.
Oh, so like.
Like if you're in
Dieting.
sports or something, and that's how your body is performing.
So you eat to perform.
Yep. Holidays and celebrations are exceptions. Since our calories had been monitored all week long, last night at the banquet we could eat everything in front of us without significant impact. Bram grins mischievously at me, still wearing his sleep clothes. So, he says, shoving one last spoonful of oatmeal into his mouth, did you sleep late because you were dreaming about Xander? I don't want him to know how close he is to the truth. That even though I didn't dream of Xander, I wanted to. No, I say, and shouldn't you be worrying about being on time for school? Bram's young enough that he still has school instead of work on Saturdays, and if he doesn't get going, he'll be late. Again. I hope he doesn't get cited. So what day is it?
Saturday.
Saturday.
Yeah.
And where does the younger brother have to go?
School.
School.
That's
Bram, my mother says, go get your plain clothes on, please. She'll breathe a huge sigh of relief when he moves on to second school, where the start time is half an hour later. As Bram slouches out of the room, my mother reaches for my dress and holds it up. You looked so beautiful last night. I hate to take this back. We both look at the gown for a moment. I admire the way the fabric catches the light and plays it back, almost like the light and the cloth are both living things. We both sigh at exactly the same time, and my mother laughs. She gives me a kiss on the cheek. They'll send you a little piece of the fabric, remember? She says, and I nod. Each gown is designed with an interior panel that can be cut into pieces, one for each girl who wears the dress. The scrap, along with the silver box that held my microcard, will be my mementos of my matching. But still, I will never see this dress, my green dress, again. I knew the moment I saw it that it was the one I wanted. When I made my selection, the woman at the clothing distribution center smiled as she punched the number, 73, into the computer. That's the one you were most likely to pick, she said. Your personal data indicated it, and so did general psychology. You've picked things outside the majority in the past, and girls like their dresses to bring out their eyes. I smiled and watched as she sent her assistant into the back to retrieve the dress. When I tried it on, I saw that she was right. The dress was meant for me. The hemline fell perfectly, the waist curved in exactly the right amount. I turned in front of the mirror, admiring myself. The woman told me, so far, you are the only girl wearing this dress at the match banquet this month. The most popular gown is one of the pink gowns, number 22. Good, I told her. I don't mind standing out a little. Bram reappears in the doorway, plainclothes wrinkled, hair askew. I can almost see the wheels turning in my mother's mind. Is it better to comb his hair and make him late, or send him as he is? Bram makes the decision for her. See you tonight, he says, sprinting out the door. He's not going fast. He's not going to be fast enough. My mother looks out the window toward the air train stop, where the tracks light up to indicate the approaching train. He might, I say, watching Bram as he breaks another rule, the one about running in public. So what's another
They
rule?
can't run in public.
They can't run in public.
That's
Yeah.
I can almost hear his footsteps pounding on the sidewalk as he runs down the street, his head lowered, his school pack bumping against his skinny back. Right when he gets to the stop, he slows down, pats his hair into place, and walks casually up the steps toward the train. Hopefully, no one else has seen him run. A moment later, the air train pulls away with Bram safely inside.
What's an air train?
I picture it kind of like the trains down in the cities. Like, I think it's just like a tram. That boy is going to be the end of me, my mother sighs. I should have gotten him up earlier. We all overslept. It was a big night last night. It was, I agree. I have to catch the next city air train. My mother pulls her satchel over her shoulder. What are you doing for your free rec hours tonight? I'm sure Xander and everyone will want to play games at the youth center, I say. We've seen all the showings, and the music? I shrug. My mother laughs, completing my sentence. Is for old people like me? And I'm using the last hour to visit grandfather. The officials don't often allow a deviation from the usual free rec options, but on the eve of someone's final banquet, visiting is encouraged and permitted. My mother's eyes soften. He'll love that. Did Papa tell grandfather about my match? My mother smiles. He planned to stop by on his way to work. Good, I say, because I want grandfather to know as soon as possible. I know he has been thinking as much about me and my banquet as I've been thinking about him and his. After I hurry and eat my breakfast, I make my train with seconds to spare and sit back. I may not have dreamed about Xander while I slept, but I can daydream about him now. Looking out the window and thinking about how he looked last night in his suit, I watch the burros slide by on my way into the city. The green has not given way to stone and concrete when I notice white flakes drifting through the sky. Everyone else notices them too. Snow? In June? The woman next to me asks. It can't be, a man across the aisle mutters. But look at it, she says. It can't be, the man says again. People twist, turn to the windows, looking agitated. Can something wrong be true? Sure enough, little white puffs drift past on their way to the ground. There's something strange about this snow, but I'm not exactly sure what I find. I'm not exactly sure what. I find myself holding in a smile as I look at all the worried faces around me. Should I be worried too? Perhaps. But it's so pretty, so unexpected, and for the moment, so unexplainable. The air train comes to a stop. The doors open and a few pieces drift inside. I catch one on my hand, but it does not melt. The mystery of it does, however, when I see the little brown seed at the center of the snow. It's a cottonwood seed, I tell everyone confidently. It's not snow. Of course, the man says, sounding glad to have an explanation. Snow in June would be atypical. Cottonwood seeds are not. But why are there so many? Another woman asks, still worried. In a moment, we have our answer. One of the new passengers sitting down brushes white from his hair in plain clothes. We're tearing out the cottonwood grove along the river, he explains. The society wants to plant some better trees there. Everyone else takes his word for it. They know nothing about trees. They mutter about being glad that it isn't another sign of the warming. Thank goodness the society has things under control, as usual. But thanks to my mother, who can't help talking about her work as a caretaker at the arboretum, I know that this explanation does make sense. You can't use cottonwood trees for fruit or fuel, and their seeds are a nuisance. They fly far, catch on anything, try to grow everywhere. Weed trees, my mother says. Still, she harbors a particular affinity for them because of the seeds, which are small and brown, but cloaked in beauty, in these thin white tendrils of cotton. Little cloudy parachutes to slow their fall, to help them fly, to catch the wind and glide them somewhere they might grow. I look at the seed resting in the palm of my hand. There is still mystery in it after all, in that little brown core. I'm not sure what to do with it, so I tuck it into my pocket next to my tablet container. The almost snow reminds me of a line from a poem we studied this year in language and literacy. stopping by woods on a snowy evening. It's one of my favorites of all the 100 poems, the ones our society chose to keep, back when they decided our culture was too cluttered. They created commissions to choose the 100 best of everything. 100 songs, 100 paintings, 100 stories, 100 poems. The rest were eliminated, gone forever. For the best, the society said, and everyone believed because it made sense. How can we appreciate anything fully when overwhelmed with too much? My own great-grandmother was one of the cultural historians who helped select the 100 poems almost 70 years ago. Grandfather has told me the story 1,000 times, how his mother had helped decide which poems to keep and which to lose forever. She used to sing him parts of the poems as lullabies. She whispered, saying them, he said, and I tried to remember them after she had gone. After she had gone. Tomorrow, my grandfather will go too. As we leave the last of the cottonwood seeds behind, I think about the poem and how much I like it. I like the words deep and sleep and the way they rhyme and repeat. I think to myself that this poem would be a good lullaby if you listened to the rhythm instead of the words. Because if you listened to the words, you wouldn't feel rested. Miles to go before I sleep.